Hey guys, today we're going to be reacting to Medicine's video. Medicine is the name of this YouTuber who is anonymous at my university and who made a video about studying medicine in Italy, advantages and disadvantages, Humanitas University edition. So it's directly related to my school, so that's why we are watching it. You should go check him out, watch his other videos. They're good, they're informative, and he's in fourth year, so he knows more about the other years than I do, even though we do have the new curriculum. But anyway, let's get started, and I hope his music is not copyrighted.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Medicine, and today we're going to be sort of discussing a little bit about the good things, the bad things, the ugly things, just about medical school in Italy. My opinions and thoughts are generally going to be based on my experience here at Humanitas. Just to reiterate, these are all just going to be my sort of opinions, my preferences, my thoughts. Hopefully it's of some use to some of you. If you like this sort of thing, just let me know in the comments. I can, do more sort of videos like this. Just to get started,
Yeah, so obviously this is his opinion, his experiences, and I'm gonna give you guys my experiences, my opinions too. So you guys have a contrasting opinion, just so you guys know that he's a fourth year, I'm a second year. They had a curriculum, we have another one. They are just like slowly adjusting the syllabi because the Humanitas is a relatively new school. So yeah.
I'll get started. So first point I'm going to start off with is the IMAT. In terms of generally in Italy, you need to do one exam to get in. In some cases, for general public universities, it's the IMAT. For privates, there are separate tests for San Raffaele, Cattolica, Humanitas, the HUMAT. But,
speaking of which, he's completely right. Speaking of which, go check out this playlist on the HUMAT. Really good in my opinion. It details everything I had to do to get the HUMAT, to get the scholarship, blah blah blah.
In general, I'd say it's probably easier to get into medical school here in Italy, just due to the fact that it is based solely on one exam, compared to other places such as the UK. In terms of the UK, it is very different in terms of how, not very different, but more difficult, shall we say. You need to do, CVs, have a good CV. You need to do interviews. You have to do separate exams like the IMAT as well, just to even have an opportunity to get the chance to go in, and then you have to get really high grades as well. Whereas in Italy, you'd have to get extremely high grades, and you just have to do well in the IMAT to have a good chance of getting into medical school in Italy. And
that is very true. The only thing I would say is that, for example, for Humanitas, to get the scholarship after the HUMAT, I did have to do an interview, which was MMI based, so multiple mini interview, which you can again go check out up here. And I did have to send a motivation letter, and I think something else up there too. But generally speaking, he's right. And it is easier, as we talked about in another video, it is easier to get into medical school in Italy, and especially I think the HUMAT is somewhat easier than the IMAT. So again, it can be easier to get into a private university. Obviously, you're paying more, but that is basically it. And the requirements are not that high. I and all of my classmates only had to prove that we passed high school, that we had a high school diploma. They did not care about subjects we took or grades.
I did quite well in the IMAT when it was the IMAT for Humanitas, so I never applied to the public schools just due to the fact of when it was, and I didn't sort of have the time. But in terms of ease, I wouldn't say it's super easy to do the IMAT. You need to prepare for sure, like any exam. But the second point I'd like to start with is the sort of teaching method, shall we say, in Italy, maybe in general in Italy, but mainly here at Humanitas, it's very lecture based, shall we say, very heavy on the lectures. From first year you're in lectures, most of the time. You've got 4 lectures a day, and each lecture is 2 hours long. And in general, concentration for 2 hours is very, very difficult. Right, so many places, even in the UK or other countries, lectures are 1 hour, 50 minutes even sometimes, and you can concentrate for the full lecture if it's just an hour long. Whereas
that's true. We usually have 6 hours now, 6 hours of class a day, which is 3 lectures on sometimes 2 or 3 different subjects. It is really hard to concentrate for 2 hours at a time. We have a block from 9 to 11, 11 to 1, lunch from 1 to 2, and then 2 to 4, and sometimes 4 to 6. The 4 to 6 lesson is basically impossible to follow. That's why I think they try not to give us too many of those, because the teachers are tired, we're saturated, our brain is full of content. It's really hard. The first two lectures are fine. The third lecture is also fine, unless you you get hit with that like post lunch sleepiness, which does happen, especially if you eat a lot, as some of us do. But I do think it is hard to focus through 2 hours worth of lectures. However, teachers do try to give us a break every hour. So for example, we'll have an hour of class, a 5-10 minute break where we and the teachers both go get water, go get coffee, blah, 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 5 minutes, and then come back another hour. We'll have a small break between one class and the other. And then, so every hour we do get a bit of a break. And this kind of matches up with how I study in long chunks, which is the 50-10 Pomodoro timer technique, where I do 50 minutes of studying, 10 minutes break, 50 minutes of studying, 10-minute break, so on, so on, so on. So that works out quite well for me, but I can see why if you are more inclined to doing 25-5 or stuff like that, it would be harder for you. And it's definitely no easy task to focus at all, especially when some of the lectures can be quite boring.
If you know you're stepping into a lecture that is 2 hours long, you're going to be very difficult to concentrate throughout the whole lecture, which I see as a sort of negative.
I like the music he chose, honestly. I'm like vibing to it in the background. I don't know if you guys can hear, and if you can, I hope I don't get like copyright stricken, but this is like good music. I like it.
I get it that, you know, they have a lot to teach, so they have to, and they are teaching it all, which is another aspect. That is good, I guess. In 2 hours, they are telling you everything you need to know for the exams to pass the exams, which is good in that sense. It's just the fact that it is quite difficult sometimes to stay on track of. The second thing is the practical sort of aspects in hospital time, the clerkships. Personally, I feel it's quite low, but maybe that's just general in Italy, I don't know. We're scheduled to be in, 9 half days at a hospital to do, some activities with the doctor, mainly shadowing, but only 9 half days a semester. So we're talking, 9 full days for a full year. It seems a bit low, should I say, and that starts...
Wow, I did not know that. I thought it was way more for some reason. I thought they shadowed like consistently. That's crazy. I think it is like that all throughout Italy, and you don't get a lot of practical hands-on experience, and it is mostly all lecture-based. But I didn't know it was that little. 9 days a year, or per 2 semesters, is like so little. I was expecting so much more.
From third year onwards as well. So first and second year, totally lecture based.
Yeah.
So in one aspect, having a lot of lectures is good. You build a good solid foundation for understanding and.
Lectures are nice and everything, but it gets so tedious and so boring, and like cramming like all that information to your head is so hard. So maybe having practicals, maybe not in first year, second year, just because you don't know anything, so it is a good base. But having having less lectures and more clinical experience, I think would definitely improve the overall quality of doctors.
In general, I feel that hospital time is quite low. Obviously, you have time for other activities, the simulations, the OSCEs, the physical exams, things like that. You do that in the university anyway. I feel.
But it's not a lecture, so I would think that's more clinical related than lecture related, but I can see why he would make that distinction.
Yeah, I'd prefer a bit more hospital time to get a bit more hands-on experience and a better understanding of exactly how it works in the hospital. That's just personal preference. You might think it's okay, you might not. It's up to you, but yeah, that's my sort of idea onto it. I don't want to delve into too much detail into that, but
we almost saw his face. He almost leaked his identity.
That's just the idea that, what I think anyway. Let's go on to exams, shall we say. The exam opportunities. Here in Italy, you nearly get an unlimited amount of times to do an exam. You just have to register for it if you want to do it. And if you don't do it, you just do it in the next session. Of course, it's recommended, to do every exam at the earliest opportunity, just due to the fact that that knowledge will be fresh. It's usually related directly to that semester content. But it's the idea.
They're also easier. I didn't say this, but yeah, like the first try you get an exam is usually the easiest exam in terms of the questions that are chosen or made, depending on your teacher. But it's usually easier. But yeah, that is true. You can do it as many times as you want. Usually, like I have friends that have done a semester one exam 4 or 5 times and they just can't pass it. Others simply they're doing it again because they want a higher grade. So you do get unlimited tries. However, for example, I don't know if this is specific to Humanitas or to all of Italy, but from second year to go into third year, you need to have passed these two subjects called Body at Work 1 and Body at Work 2, which is a semester 1 and a semester 2 course for second year. And if you don't pass those, you have to repeat second year, which involves paying the tuition again and starting from scratch, which I would like to avoid. But other than that, you do get basically unlimited tries to do an exam.
That, you can do the exams more than once if you need. And also sometimes, personally when I started, used to be really long exams. And in terms of long exams, I mean a lot of content to fit in one exam. Now they've sort of split it up. They used to have smaller exams midway through the semester, through the year.
We have that. In first year, they split up. Well, they didn't split it up, but we had Principles of Living Matter was a subject, and we had Physics, Inorganic Chemistry, and Organic Chemistry, and they gave us intermediate tests throughout the semester. And if you failed two of those, you would have to do the end of semester exam, which was all three of those subjects combined. Now, first year, so the year below mine, they removed that, and they only get to do the end of semester exam. They don't get the intermediates for some reason, which I think bad move. Intermediate test, the way to go. Good, solid, good way of making sure people are studying and revising throughout the semester. And you remove the pressure of the end of semester exam, which is big and scary and bad. But they are no longer doing that, and I think they should. If you want to study in Italy or at Humanitas, you have got to use the resource I just found. It's called StudyMed. The website is studymed.it, and basically they have preparation courses for the HUMAT and the IMAT. They have past papers. I talked to the tutors. Everybody's really good. I talked to the students. Everybody swears by it. I saw the resources myself. They're really good. You get 10% off any course, any purchase if you use code Emiliano. That's code Emiliano for 10% off. And honestly, I would definitely do it. It's really worth it. And let's get on with the video.
It used to be yearly exams. In other places, generally you can only do a certain number of times and then that's it. Or you might even only get one opportunity, but it's not as variable as Italy.
I was talking to a Swiss classmate who told me that if you fail a medical school exam twice, you get kicked out of the university, but also you can no longer apply to other medical universities in Switzerland. So that happened to him, and he got basically kicked out of the country if he wanted to become a doctor. And I was like, that's insane, that's crazy. And I felt sometimes juggling exams and having to prioritize and stuff gets a bit annoying, but I'd rather do this 100 times than get kicked out of any country, because I failed an exam twice, because I have failed an exam. Body architecture, I failed two times. So I would be out if that was the case, but it's not, thankfully.
As flexible as Italy at the moment, that I think anyway personally, which is a really good thing in one sense that you can be fully prepared. Maybe another bad thing that you might fall behind in certain exams or certain topics, which is not always the best. The fourth thing, I'd like to sort of go over the facilities, shall we say, university facilities here at Humanitas.
Okay, now he's getting personal, or he's going to talk about the uni, which I'm curious to see what he says as a fourth year student who has been here for longer, has seen the university grow, and has also gone to the hospital and done rotation stuff that I haven't done. I've only been to the actual university and done lectures.
It is quite a new university, so in Italy they don't do cadavers, you don't do dissections, things like that, whereas in the UK you kind of do. In Italy obviously it's against the law, which is is fine. That's what it is. So you can easily go online, look at these sort of things. That's not a problem. Secondly, I'd like to bring up the fact here at Humanitas you have amazing facilities, simulation labs and things like that, so it's like you're in the hospital. But just to reiterate to the fact of the teaching methods, I'm currently in fourth year and I have never personally been in the simulation lab as of yet. we've done the physical examinations on dummies and sort of things, but we've never been into this.
We've done that. We learned how to draw blood from like a dummy arm. We also did physical examinations on each other. We did auscultation of the chest and the back and the abdomen. And I think at the end of this year or at the end of the semester, we're doing also neurological examinations on each other. But I'm surprised he hasn't been to the lab. That's crazy. I thought they went relatively often.
Amazing simulation lab, which is shown everywhere. Like I say, personally, I've never been in it, and I'm in 4th year at the moment. So hopefully, I think from 5th year, definitely. Personally, just because the university shows they have these amazing facilities, it is good in one sense, but just don't forget that you're not going to be in that facility every single day. So you have to think about other options and other aspects as well.
That's true. That is very true, and it's one of the main reasons I think I make YouTube videos about like life here, and like he does them too. So you should go check out his like day in the life videos about what he does, so you can see, visualize, understand what it is like to spend a day at Humanitas if you're considering applying to Humanitas, and same for like 4th year, 2nd year, and other universities. I'm sure students do the same thing at other universities, and you should definitely check those out so you can see what the university itself is trying to sell you its course, but you can also check out what the course is actually like and what life at that university is actually like.
5th and final thing is sort of the language.
Big one.
Straight away, it's always a barrier if you go to a different country and you don't speak the language. In Italy, everyone speaks Italian. What can I say? There's nothing else to say about that. Obviously, if you go into the tourist areas, you can get away with speaking some English. Central Milan for sure. But in the hospital, you're not going to be having tourists coming in. In terms of learning Italian, it's not the easiest language. Personally, I know some internationals that have come in and they now speak like fluent Italian. So
that's the dream. I'm not there yet. I can't talk. I can hear and understand most of it. I can read most of it. Writing, appalling, and my speaking, really bad. I can like communicate like very, very, very basically through my verbal abilities. So the dream is to eventually be fluent, which hopefully Spanish helps. Well, not hopefully, it has been helping. Hopefully it keeps helping.
It's possible. That's not a major factor for some people. It just depends on how you feel about learning another language. Personally, in Humanitas, we had a 30-day course right at the start of 1st year, and that was it in terms of, and then we had maybe one lesson every 2 weeks. So personally, I don't think the university provides enough. It might have changed since
I'm glad he said that, because it definitely has. You still have that 30-day course during induction weeks, and then they have a class every week. Thing is, timings are rough, and they do it from 6 to 8 or sometimes on Saturdays, and it's really hard to teach Italian to a classroom full of people where there's like 40 people. So people being me and a lot of my classmates, but me included, just kind of stopped going to these classes and stopped participating, because some people missed the 30 days and then they came to the classes and it was like they were already behind, and you can't learn a language if you're behind. And I think it's hard to organize language lessons. So a lot of what us second years are doing now is finding tutors in 3rd, 4th, 5th year that maybe are Italian or are internationals that learn Italian, and figure like being tutored privately or in like small groups to learn Italian. So the university did change that. They do offer more, but it's still just really hard to offer that. And I think we students put it on the back burner when you also have 4 to 6 to 8 hours of class a day, every day.
The university doesn't personally, I believe, they provide enough support in terms of Italian speaking, Italian learning. The only way I'd say is, join other classes or get a tutor online, things like that is the best way to learn. 3rd year, most of the professors because you have to do history taking and things with patients and exams with patients. You have to sort of have a good idea of sort of the basic aspects of Italian, understand it, because they sort of expect you to speak it as well. And I don't want to ramble on too much about the language, but it is there, it is a factor. But just keep it into consideration. Just to go back to one fact on teaching methods and things like that. In Italy, attendance is mandatory. So I think it is 66% in general in Italy, they have to attend the lectures and things like that for 66% of the time.
Huh, I didn't know it was 66%. It is completely mandatory. He's right. And apparently for some reason, a lot of people are not happy about this. I don't mind. It was mandatory in high school. This is basically the same thing. You have teachers available. Why not go to class? But that's just my take. They ask us to be there. Make 75% of the time. 75% attendance is mandatory. You can skip 25% of the lectures, which I think is a lot. I don't know why you would have to, unless it's like medical / health related reasons, and they do kind of excuse those sometimes. It's a bit weird. It's a bit like controversial here. But yeah, 75%. If you are between 50 and 75%, you do like an extra part of the test, and then sometimes an oral test, so you get tested more rigorously. And then if you're below 50, you're done. You can't really come back from that. But yeah, I'm surprised to hear. I don't know if they have 66%.
Here at Humanitas, they've set an attendance limit at 75%.
My bad. I jumped the gun. Yes, he's right.
Which is considerably higher, and they do really enforce that, so they want you to be there, and if you can't just go there and then leave a lecture halfway through, and sometimes they're going to check if you stay throughout the whole lecture. Like, personally, I feel that's quite childlike, school-like, instead of university-like. Here at Humanitas, sometimes they don't even let you take exams on the first session because you missed, say, even if you miss a few percentage, 10%, they might not let you take it, but that's just...
I think he's saying if you're below 75%, like by 10% or so, they won't let you take the test, and that is true. They won't let you take the test, and then they make you take the original test plus the extra test plus an oral, the second try, so to speak. The second appello is what it's called in Italy.
Other universities are different, so it just depends on where you go. Overall, in general, I'd like to say, getting here into medical school is amazing, right? I'm grateful to be here. The opportunity is, I'm thankful. But just to gives you an idea of what you sort of need to think about, look at. It's not always just getting to medical school. That's the end of it. It's getting to medical school. Work hard for.
That's so true. Getting here is the beginning, and it's so easy to be in high school and see medical school as the goal. But once you're here, you realize that no, this is the journey. The destination is to graduate after, and it's always been that way. So this is where the hard part starts. Apparently, first and second year are the hardest. I don't know if third, fourth, fifth, sixth get easier or just get more used to it. But yeah, this is not the end of the line. This is the beginning of the line, and it's such a long marathon. It's crazy. 6 years is a long time. So don't think just because you got your acceptance letter or your enrollment letter, you're done, you're set. No, you're just starting. And I'm not trying to dissuade you. I'm just, same as he is, I'm like help you out by making you aware of this if you're not.
Year after year after year after year. And that's lifelong usually, but sometimes maybe some people don't feel, or some people don't understand just the true aspect of how much work you kind of have to do. And I just like to reiterate that, you're in a career where you're going to be looking after other people. It's not just, some inanimate object that people, so you've got to be dedicated to it. And, in general, so far has been amazing, and I'd just like to be thankful for the opportunity, and like I say, like, subscribe, do the usual YouTube thing, and hopefully I'll see you in another one. Thank you.
That's good. That's a good video. I enjoyed this video. I like him. I think we should definitely all collectively, you and me, subscribe to his channel, and not now, but watch another one of his videos. You go watch one of his videos. Go study with him. All that. Let's show him some support. It's really cool what he's doing. I really enjoyed this video. I think it was full of like good, informative content, and I'll see you guys next week. Subscribe to me and to him.